PHP artisan serve. Let's wait for it. You know, okay. Tax. Let me open localhost PHP my admin. So in the last class, I showed how to also upload how to we can upload image as part of the form fields. So we added image, picture, image stuff. Sure. So what we'll just do today, let me increase the font size a bit. So we'll just do some kind of adjustments and modifications and just some stuff like that. Just so that I just want us to touch audio touchable things since this month is all about review of knowing how to navigate to different things concerning this whole Laravel matter, at least the basic popular things. So in that last stuff that we did, if I go to the controllers, so whereby now we can store image, and this was what we did, and the storing of the image, we are saving it inside of the public directory, which is this public directory here. So this is the uploads directory, which is the uploads we wrote here. So the public, we are moving the image, whenever we're uploading the image, we are moving it into the public directory and inside the uploads directory. So these are the images we test. Let me just delete this and let's test it again. Short, can even delete the directory as a whole. I think it will automatically create the directory too by itself. In as much as we've added these uploads here in the public directory, so it will create it inside this public directory and put the image. So let's just quickly test this. We have data already. We can delete that data. Delete, yeah. I be one run PHP artisan migrate fresh. But I just remember saying we don't do the delete functionality, so everything is empty now. So let's create new tags. So create new tags. This tags title. Select something, some description. Upload any image. I'll just pick this one. Click enabled. Create tags. That's created successfully. So now let's check the public directory if anything is stored. Can see we have something inside public directory. The upload directory created by itself. Then inside of it we have the image that we uploaded, which is this. So that was what we did on Friday. So let me delete public directory. So this is one way of uploading stuff in your projects. So if you are okay with this way, it is fine. But I would like to also show you another way. So how will I even put the English? On in, I won't say okay, let me in terms of Laravel's standard or the way they do their package, this is their framework rather. Laravel is a framework. So like it's advised or it's mostly used. Which English I dey speak like this? Like instead of storing all those images inside public directory, they provide this storage directory that you should store it inside the storage directory, then inside this public directory of the storage directory, rather than this particular public directory. Which well, to me, I think it makes sense too, because this public directory is more like holding the remember this index.php is always the main focus of all PHP projects. Just like how we've always been creating it in all our past projects, we always have this index.php. So this part is kind of like the core functionality of the whole app. And so we have the auto loading stuff, different setup that is connected inside this index.php. So probably it's not making sense to now be putting images in this place. So I think it's a nice approach that we remove the logic whereby we should be storing the images instead inside of this storage directory app and inside this public here. So that's what I would like to start with. So let's do the modification of our old code and change the setup of that code so that we'll be storing the stuff here instead. Let me delete the other record. So it's just some few modifications we would need to do in our controller setup to make it happen. First of all, because we want to be storing it inside the storage directory, we need to run an artisan command called so that Laravel will kind of like internally inside this project set up a connection knowing that okay that we are storing some kind of images and directly inside the storage directory. Uh, so, okay, you guys should give me just 1 minute. Okay, let's resume. Okay, so we need to run PHP artisan storage link. Enter. Don't forget this command. If you know say you want to store any stuff inside storage directory, this command is necessary unless you'll be wondering why it's not working, why this uploading stuff is not saving there. So as we run this command now, blah 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 storage blah 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 link has been connected to this. So that means if you notice here, so instead of the public directory, instead of this public directory that we were using, you can see now it actually creates something like a storage sublink. Read this stuff with the that like symbolic link. So it's created it inside that public. So instead of storing it inside that public, it will kind of like reroute it inside the storage directory. So that's what it did there. So it's created this public storage, but now it's linked it. So it link has been connected to this storage directory. Go. So storage app public. It's a full link, storage app public. I don't know if you can see it well. So storage app public. So now that means all those images will be stored here instead. So I think it makes sense for organization of code so that even the name storage, you're going to say storage, okay, it's on the store something. So images or whatever. So we just after you've run this command is then just for us to modify what we previously did in our controller. Let me close this. So HTTP controller, task controller. So what we'll just update is just some few things. So instead of this move to public directory, we'll replace this logic to something else. So how will I remove this now? Let me just let's do it like this. So instead of image file, we'll now use a method called store as. So this store as now will now set the directory of how it's going to move to. So more like public slash uploads. So instead of saying uploads, public slash, let's just say images. So what it means is that in this directory, this storage, inside this particular public, it will create a subdirectory named images. The reason I decided to use images so that sometimes maybe if you want to set up videos, say go fit put another directory, like if you are working in another controller, so you know that this directory that involve like this one that we have images, you know that everything with the here concern image. And maybe if you have another one that you want to store, maybe something like audios, see everything with the here is related to audio, just for organization. So it's your choice to name it whatever you want to name it. So for this case, since we're just uploading images, so I'll just keep it as that. So I don't need of me creating it manually, sha. So let me just delete this image. Yeah. So this public this time around is no longer this public here anymore. So it will reroute, it's this symbolic link, it will reroute inside here. It will be accessing this particular public instead. So then inside of it, we're going to create image. It will create automatically for us images directory inside of it. Then let's save this. So as the path, let me even update the comment explanation here to something like so store in storage app public images. So that's the path or direction where the image will be stored. Then lastly, also we need to then save it into the database. So this time around, before we were using a URL kind of link to store it. So well, it will still look like a URL kind of link, but it won't look like the way it was looking before. So we'll do it this way now. So we'll say short even this place. So there's this function called string replace. Just try to say you use this method called string replace. So the value being searched for, otherwise known as the array, blah blah blah. So the point is that it's just for us to create a path to it, where to locate it. So this will be public. First one, leave this one empty, then put this path. So this path is this path variable here. So that's just the setup we need to do in this place. So I'm going to just save this one as save only the relative path without public. So which means what will be saved in the database, which will it will still look like kind of like a path URL. But what we're saying now is that we want it to store the location of where that image is located inside our storage directory. And if I say, like, remember what I said now, remember we are going to have images here. We're going to have images here. And if I ask you now, how can I get to these images? You tell me that it will move from the storage, then to the app, then to the public, then to the images directory. That's the direction, that's the path flow. But now, I want to use a relative path approach, which means I'm trying to exclude the public so that it will automatically skip public. Like it will know that there's public, but it will just ignore it as if it's not there. But internally, it knows. So it's as if we are replacing it. That means what I mean that the movement will not be like the storage app images. It come like it will skip this public, like it will automatically just know that there is public. It will just skip the public and go straight to the images. So that's what this line of code did here. So more like we are using relative paths. Because one thing about Laravel or PHP in general, any public directory is just like a sensitive directory, that name public, and it's something that you can just access directly whatever that is inside, maybe index.php, like how we've been doing it then. So this is just like a way to manually set it to work that way also inside this storage, stuff. So that's just the basic thing. We will just repeat the same thing for our update. So I can just copy these 2 lines of code. I think it's reduced the line of code set. I think before we have, probably depend on how we want to set it up. But, so we just replace it also for the updates. So let's test this and see if anything would be stored in this our storage directory. Let's do it this way. I'll delete this one that I created. So let me shorten this. Now I want us to be seeing it side by side in a way. Let's just pay attention to this public part while we are creating a task. Let me adjust this one to like this. So our focus here now is watching this public stuff. Okay, so tax ID CMS20, some time to pending, some description, image upload. Disable. So I want to click create task now. So I'm clicking, I'm just pay attention to this place. 1, 2, ready, go, pim. You notice now this stuff I've created that images. So let me click on it. Click on the image. So it's actually worked. So yeah, that's the new approach we'll be using. Now the other issue now is how we can retrieve the image. For example, I know in this show page, we are expecting to see an image here, you can see. So the style of fetching that image now would also be different. So let's see how we were doing it before. If we go to, let's see how the database stuff is storing this information. Let me zoom this thing a bit. Good now. So now notice something here now. So this was the relative part I was talking about. I didn't include the public in this direction, only started from the image. So that was that stuff we did also in that controller. Where is it? So where is it? This one. So where we exclude without public, we exclude the public part, because normally we know public is here. Remember this part here is storing public images, then the name of the image. Remember, this is the image file name. So public directory, inside public directory we have the images directory. Inside the image directory we have the actual file, and this variable is what is holding that part. So that variable is what we put in here, and here the public will exclude it out. So now with NAS Massive we've removed this public from here, leaving only images there. So that was what's happened. So now, like we are saying now, the show page setup would be different because now we can see it's no longer working. The former approach is no longer working. So let's locate this file, resources, views, show description. So this is the image stuff. Let me close this place. So this is the image code. Yeah. So this was how we were doing it first. It was very easy, as if we are doing like a full URL. SRC is just the source of that image. So what we would now be using, we'll use a blade, say a blade engine itself. There's a method that we can use inside of this blade.php stuff called assets. So just like the way we have routes that we used to set up routes, so we have something called assets as well. So assets, storage, so storage slash the remaining part of where it is located. Storage, I'm kind of like concatenating it, dot tags image file. So something like this. Storage, then the remaining direction of where that part is located. So which means it will go to the storage directory first, storage directory, then continue from that part. So it will start trigger, it will know where to locate the image directly from that part, from that public. So this is how we can access this. Let's see if it would work. Refresh and see it's showing now. I think we also have it in the edit page. Although remember this approach is concatenation. These dots, this is how we can join two things, two kind of like string to kind of information together. But if you don't want to use, you want to concatenate without necessarily using these dots, no, we need to use these dots. I don't know if you remember the normal PHP, vanilla PHP. When I say vanilla PHP, it means like pure PHP. We most times when we do concatenation like this, we mostly do it most times when we are using a single colon. Like here, this is a single colon. Is it? I think it's a colon now, Abi. Yeah. So instead of a double, is it colon Abi quotes self? Oh, single quotes. Yeah, I think it's a quote. So single quote. But if we were to be using something like double quotes, like this, remove this. I won't need to do this stuff like this anymore. I think I'll just do double quotes like this. So everything here is double quoted. It's assets not found. It's not noticing the assets that way. Or maybe is it because of this external? Let me use single quotes in this external part and see. Because double quotes might not work together. It's still showing the same error. In that case, it seems like the only acceptable approach is that concatenation approach for these assets to work. So this is the only approach. So I'll just copy this stuff, and I think we have it also in the edit page. So if I go to the edit page, we have an image where we show what was uploaded and all of that. So let's do the same thing for the edit page. So yeah, this is the image for the edit page. Just for me to change this information here, paste. What was all this now? I'm gonna copy this thing where copy, paste. See. Okay, good. So refresh. Yeah, so it is showing. So Shikina, that's it about. So we've updated the way we are storing our image now. Then we learned how to use CIDA. So let's move to knowing how to do factories this time around. So CIDA's factories. So we learned before how to use CIDAs. So the use case of CIDAs. I won't talk about it anymore. Make Adania and Co go rewatch the videos to understand. So now let's talk about factories. Now the difference between CIDAs and factories. The thing about factory be say PHP will randomly be creating the information for us. Like in this CIDA now, we are the one manually putting the stuff that we want to be inside. Because I'm the one that manually type CMS 20, CMS 50, or puts this one, I typed it by myself. Like that's what I really want to see. But if there's a case whereby you just want to generate random information, just like a dummy text, you know what you mean by dummy text, like a dummy information. If I say dummy text now, what will come out here is Elon Mepisu. I'm going to call that in this lorem episo, all those dummy random things. You just need something like a dummy information just to seed the database because you don't want to think too much for now. You just want to try get something we go inside the database. So that is where facts will come into play. Let's clear the database. Actually, we can just you don't have to type this command. You can still come here and just, since it's just tags that we created, we can just delete this one. So just that the ID would still remain the same. Can see now the ID is 3. So that means while this will clear, if we create a new one, the ID will be 4. So that's just the issue. So, but if you want everything to start afresh, whereby the ID will start from 1, because now even though we've deleted this, if we create a new task, you will see that the new task will still start with ID of 4 because it's still keeping track of the informations there. You can say ID is 4. If I refresh this, you can see 4. But if it's a case whereby you want everything to start afresh from 1, no wahala, then just run this PHP artisan migrate fresh. So we restart everything from scratch. So to drop the tables, recreate the tables, and move all the migration file into the stuff. So everything has been deleted. So everything now will start from 1 this time around. Okay. So let me delete. So I'll delete this. No need to delete. Let me just delete. Yeah. But I will need to remove it here because now we don't want to use it. I want to use factory. So me commenting this one out, what I'm commenting out, I'm commenting the access of it having this tax CIDA. So is that I delete this tax CIDA myself here, or I just comment it here because this is what is calling it go. So now factory is, like I said, factory is just more like creating some kind of dummy data. You can create the factory file manually by yourself, or I think there's a, can you run it like this also? Page artisan make factory, then the name of the factory, tax factory. Yeah. So we have tax factory. So at least you go don't set up all this orishi for us. Okay. Now it's time for us to just set up the definitions of everything. But first of all, we need to let it know which model we want, or like which table or database we want it to be sent to. So prepared model. So we want it to be the class model double colon. Then we will import that model. Right click, import class. Yes, this one. So let's know that that's where we want to seed the data inside, or the inside of the table. So in this definition is where we will now put all the information that we are needing. So for our table, what we need, for example, now if I go to the model, these are what we have in the table. Remember, this image field is optional, so we can just ignore the image field. We'll just put the rest and ignore the image field since it is optional. We made it optional in the last class, just in case that may be wonder why is it optional. So it's something we did in the migrations. Yeah, we make it here nullable. So when you write nullable, it means it is an optional field, whereby you don't need to fill it for the form to submit. Also, if you make that place nullable, it also means in your request, tax request, you have to add the nullable here. Sorry for the file image. So here it will have to be nullable. And so all these ones that are required, that's why we are putting required, because all these ones are required. But anyone that is optional, put nullable. So if the users keep it, at least null will be stored inside the database by default. So what we need to set up now in this factory is this tax ID, title, blah blah blah. So let's see how to do that. So first of all, so this is an array. So first of all, ticket ID. So for this ticket ID, we want it to generate random stuff that looks like tickets, but we want everything to be in uppercase, like how we've been doing it, like CMS something and everything. I know those CMS, funny enough, I just like writing them in uppercases, kind of like how Jira, like uppercase CMS, or any code name, like course code names, always in uppercase. And I saw Jira too, they be like, so you can just use this PHP method. So string, convert the string to upper. It's just kind of like a short kind of method. So everything we go inside this information, we'll convert them to uppercase. So say this faker, when faker just like this, random dummy stuff that is coming in. So both so the information should just look like CMS something. So this something would be what would be changing. Maybe it can be 12, 30, 01. It should not pass 2. Remember, that was what we set in our request. So this function we understand this both C5. So it's just these two things it will be modifying. So this will create random. So let's say if we run seed 10 times, this will bring 10 random different stuff inside of this place. That's what it means. So this saves time. Like I even run 100 at once. So instead of me manually be doing the seeder the way I did it before. Where is that? Where is it again? Database seeders. No, this place I manually. So if I want to do like 10 now or 20, imagine the time it will take me to be doing it, or be copying this soon, copying and pasting and be changing each of them one by. So it go dey tiring. Or if I want to do 100, so that's why this factory is also a good option. This factory is easy for me to just do 100, 500 at once with just a single command, and everything will run. So this is for ticket ID. So let's do for the next one. Title is the next field. So this faker, that's what we'll be using every time, this faker, because surely na fake data. So title should be a sentence. So sentence, just I think this would make it like 3 words. Let me see. Sentence here, number of words. So number of words. So this one we're setting the number of words as 3 words. So you can put any number. Let's just say maybe 6 words, or and then share your choice. 8 words, title. Let's say 5 words. But notice the way I'm also understanding the necessary things. I just need to over my cursor to that um, function or method. Then VS Code will tell me where it's coming from. Remember, if you go up here, where is it? Factories. This factory is a class. It's already inbuilt, sha. And inside of it, it has most of all this most of more method inside of it. So which is this one, sentence variable words. So by default, what is already true. So we don't need to change. That means it can actually accept 2 parameters, but here we want it to be true. So it's already set as true. So we don't need to come here again and write true. No need. That's why we just ignore that one, because by default it's already set there as true. So what you just need to set is the number of words that we need. Let's see this botify. So this botify, okay, string column. So whatever. So next one, status, right? Status is the next part. Status, this Fika, status, this Fika. So for this case, for this status, we are enforcing 3 stuffs. Like we in the front end, talking about the front end now. Like in the create or upload, where is status? We only need pending, in progress, done. So pending, in progress, done. Those are the stuffs we need here. So I will just do it this way. I will have to manually write it by myself for this case. So I will say just pick any random element from these selections. So which is pending, in progress, done. So this will randomly pick each of them. So in every 20 or 100 um, factories of fakers that is running, it will randomly be picking. One of them will be representing one of them, sha. So that's what it means. So that's what this random element is. So this is how to set it up. Let me see if I over it. You can see it only accepts an array. So that is why inside here there's also an array here. Comma, description. This faker paragraph. When I'm talking a description, we're not saying a long text. Maybe just give me any kind of like long text like that. You can also set the numbers of sentences. So this one now no be words, na sentences. Because knowing that this description, talking about long information. So you can set the number of sentences, or you can just leave it like that. If you leave it like this, now you go automatically put different numbers of sentences. If you put 5, 10 by itself, so that's its own choice. If you want to maybe fix a particular number of sentences you want, maybe you can just set 5 or any number, your choice. The same thing self with this one too. But for this one, even though this method here is called sentence, now words be the focus, which means if I say I love you, 3 words, I love you, 3 words. So this one, this sentence, even though the name here is sentence, its focus here is words. So this is taking the number of words, but this paragraph is taking number of sentence, which means I love you I love you full stop is a single sentence. Then another sentence again, so there's a difference there. No, 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 no. This particular sentence method is it's even though the name is sentence, the emphasis here is words. Like it's only one. Now this paragraph, the old sentence, like an actual length of sentence. Mm. So last one is active. This faker. So is active too. We have two stuffs that is active, enable and disable. So that bullet stuff, radio bullet stuff. So I will need to do it the same way I did this random element stuff. So I dey belch like this, no be say I don chop, I never chop. Elements, enable, disable. That is all. So that's just what I will need to set. Then, so what we did here is inside this factories directory. Then I will have to come to see that inside this database. That, like I said that last video, last class, we know they don't delete this database. See that this particular file, it's like the heartbeat of all these CDAS things. So it's very important. So if you have to create another CDAS, just for it to be creating another CDAS, but this one is like the backbone. That's why you have to call all those CDAS you've been creating inside of it. So in this case now we have factories here. So I need to also call that factories inside of this database CDAS file. So it's actually simple. How will I do this one now, safe? I think we won't need to use call this time around. We won't need to use call. We only use this call whenever we're dealing with CDAS alone. So for factories, let me just comment this entire thing. Multi-line comments. So for factories, we'll just call that class, the tax model, then factory. We have a factory method we'll call. Then count how many factories you want to create, how many data. Let me just say 20. Then create checking. Yeah, import the class too. Import the tax model. Let me just comment this. So it's create 20 fake tax data. So fake data. Sha put everything inside the database. So now if we run this, say PHP artisan, don't forget everything here is empty. Let me go back to this place. You can see here is empty, here too is empty. So let's see the magic that is going to happen now. Let me clear this my terminal. So PHP artisan db seed enter. Setting database. I don't know whether this thing really runs successfully, but wait, wait, I'm not sure this thing really run. Wait, let's check. Refresh. Oh, okay, it's on. Okay, wow, can see we have 20 data. Boom, out of the blue, randomly, pending it, progress, pending, done, enabled, disabled, blah blah blah. Title, ticket ID, you can see only the two numbers are the one changing. If I refresh here to now, boom, everything is filled with 20 random data. So this one now, these are the sentences. So this one are titles. Let's open the view so you can see the description. So this is the description here. I think we made this one to take how many sentences? 5 sentences. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So no image because yeah, we didn't see the image at all there. So image is not made it not labeled. You can see that's why we have all the null here. So unless you just intend to edit and upload an image, then the image will upload. Like if I come here now, edit, it will retrieve all the data there, put an image. If you notice self here is empty. Remember, I don't know if you remember if Kadan, okay, she's not here. Okay, in the last, no, not you, not in our Chinazo I want talk because there's something we did here in this upload image. Like there's a notification we did there whereby it will show one if there's an image inside there. If there's no image inside there, see me, my network don't go disappear. They play. Okay. Now this my I don't know why he disconnect automatically. Okay, so like I was saying, this upload image, I don't know if you remember Chinazol that we did something here whereby he said I made a setting there showing either one or empty or zero if there's nothing inside here. So right now because we only see that the data without seeing the image, so surely the image parts are all empty. So which means if I go to this edit place, it's showing can see that one is not showing, which means there's nothing there. So let's upload one image inside. Let me just click this image again. So update stats. So let's view it. So now the image is there. Let's go to the edit also. You can see now, yeah, we have one, which means now there's something there. That was what we did that time when we were doing that image stuff. So this is it about Faker. So that's what Faker is doing. Make just to put some dummy data fast, make you just see the way the UI look like, something like that. Mm, there's something I'm thinking. Ah, can I? Mm, let's quickly check something. Let's pull up get name codes for no no resources backend index. I want us to try something. Yeah, pagination. I think Bootstrap has a way of doing because this thing is 20. So if now 100, it will make sense. So if you can do something like pagination, yeah, maybe the first 10 data. So I just think I go one of my old projects. Remember how I take to one. So I will need to copy this code. Then also twist the controller. think it's payment related. Yeah, simple paginate. Let me snap this stuff so that I won't forget. Okay, I think I don't need to snap it. I will open a new window. Open new window. Go back to do app. Let me just close all of this stuff. Okay, so inside this controller tags, what am I doing now? This controller. So in this index, remember the index page is what is showing all of this stuff. The index method, that is this one now, we're showing all of those data. So let's use that pagination setup. So let me just copy this. Let me paste it under here. Comment it. Then also we have the other one here, this stuff. So let me just copy this. Let me just paste it here, just to save it here. So let me cancel this one. Okay, so let's set up this pagination with this two simple information. That's it's not even long set. So first of all, this particular code is fetching all the data from the database, which is still fine, but then we can as well paginate it by adding these extras attributes. I think this comes inbuilt with Laravel and Bootstrap connection. So simple paginate. So it's for us to set the number from when the pagination should start. So I think the first 10 should show. So the next thing should be the pagination link that will take us to the remaining other data, that kind of thing. But if it's your choice, if you want it to be 5, if you want it to be 6, it's up to you. It's just for you to put the number here. Short, but let me just set it as 5. Now this order by, this is just more like that MySQL query stuff, talking about how you want it to be ordered. So it's depending on how you want to set it to be. I think this, if you want it to be ordered by according to maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, or from bottom to up, like the latest should be showing at the top, the reverse scenario or whatever, created by descending order or ascending order. Remember that stuff that with the ascending order or descending order, it's just your choice. So, but if you want to add it, in that case, you just need to, instead of this all, because this all will just fetch from the old data to the newest data downwards. That means if you create a new data, you have to scroll down to 21, which will be the next one. So if you want the newest data to be shown at the top instead, so the old one should be the one at the bottom. So you have to use this order by approach. So that is what the order by is, to set the order to descending orders. If I refresh this place now, it's not happening now. The server has stopped running on PHP artisan serve. So let's refresh again. So now you can see. So this is the first 5 according to pagination stuff. In short, first of all, let me remove this pagination stuff. In short, wait, let's go back. Let's go back first entirely. Let's go back to the way it was before. Let me remove this. So refresh. This was how it was before normally. So the first one, CMS 75, number 1. Okay, no wala. So we want to then set it instead using the order by. We want to readjust the way it is ordered. So according to when it was created in a descending order, I think let's make it ascending order. I think ascending order will be from the bottom up, I guess. So instead of 75, let's see if it will change to the other one at the bottom. Is empty. I think we need to then add something like a get here. Let's refresh again. Yeah, so it's showing. You will still not shuffling. I'm expecting one of them to go down. Let me go back. Let me put the descending order here back. Descending order. Okay, I think the reason it's not behaving like this is because the reason it's behaving like this is because we use factories and everything just ran at once at the same time. So there's no necessarily time difference here. So most of them are like the created at. You can see now, look at this created at column. 2025, 10, 27, today's date, 9:55, 37 seconds. All of them 9:55, 37 seconds. So that's why the order by is not working. Unless now we change the timing of when they are created. So the created at column. So that's why. But understand that this is how you can reshuffle it. You get, so it is focusing on the created at. So it's from, you are making it either ascending order or descending order. So because of we use Flickr, that's why it's not shuffling, the way we are expecting it to do. But just keep that in mind, that this is how it will work. And notice also I needed to add this get method after it so I can fetch the information, then order that information. But now we want to do pagination instead. So that means I will remove this get and use paginate. So simple paginate. Then the numbers. So I said 5. I want to use 5. So let's remove this. So if I refresh this, we would only see 5 data. Yeah, but now the pagination is not appearing. Like while I go to the next, the next information, the next page kind of thing. So that is where we need this part. So I need to add this part in the index. Hey, in the index.blade.php, which is in the index page. So resources, views, index.blade. So I add it at the bottom. Let's add this somewhere. Let's add this somewhere like here. Be outside, be inside. Let's say inside. Maybe after this div tag here, just somewhere around here. Simple paginate. So instead of payments, it would be, in our case, tax. So not payments. So because tax is what is inside this compact. So change it here to tax. Refresh. Bam. Can see previous next. So if I click next, I can see 6 to 10. Previous, go back 1 to 5. Next, next, next. So I think this is even the first time we're doing something like pagination so far in this our PHP stuff. So you can see it's actually cool. So instead of making the scroll down on top, down as stress. So that is, you've learned something new now. Pagination in Laravel using Bootstrap. Yeah. So it's actually very simple and straightforward. Just put this and then update this to simple paginate. Shikina. You don't even necessarily need to put this order by itself for it to work. Even like this, pagination would still work. The order by, just if you want to adjust, if you want only the latest one to be showing, you want to adjust it, so just so you know how to do it for future reference, because surely you will eventually need it too. I think we've done quite a lot of adjustments, modifications, blah blah blah. Mm, just to add, just one more extra bonus. There's something we call enum. I think I've mentioned that word before, enum, in one of our old stuff. That's when we started PHP. Although I think I didn't really explain it much then because I know we won't use it, or we aren't using it yet. I go to PHP documentation. Let's go to our old school days. PHP documentation, when we started with what is PHP. Remind me of one question where Chinazo asks, maybe like, let's say, are you saying we are going to revise? It's good that we should revise from the beginning, gone, like so that we won't forget it. Why now? Why will that stuff is stressful? Is that? Then I was like, so if you want teach person PHP now, where you go start from exactly? No be what is PHP you go start from. So which means all these things here you still need to know them again and revise some of them. They play now. So this part, what we call enumeration, yeah, enum. So I think I didn't talk about it. I skipped it in that period because I know that no English I go speak when I go use understand them at that point in time. Enumeration, basic enumeration, enum, basic enumeration. So something like this. You know what? Let's just keep it simple, sha. Something is just the point about this enum. I will just keep it simple. Later when we start the real project to make it more technical. But what I just want to have an idea of what's enum in some like in a simple sense is about. For example, now in these fields we have pending, in progress, done. Sometimes you want to enforce that if you don't have something else other than this that should be stored inside the database. So because person fit come here now like this, locate this place. You go say okay, we have pending, in progress, we have done. Say okay. Okay, let me come here and change this to maybe yes. Let me change this value here to maybe yes. So now it has altered this setup of this front end in a way. That is one problem. And if we check our request, remember our request is one of the things that handles what is being retrieved, like what is being submitted. So in this our request now, in this status, we only have just required and string, which means even if we store yes, it will accept it as it is legal, even though it is illegal. Because on the norms, we don't want yes there. What we wanted was just pending, in progress, done. So how can we bypass this kind of situation? Now this is an issue that we need to bypass. We have to look for a way to make sure say that database no store that rubbish wey that person wan put there other than wetin we want by force. That is where enum comes into play. That's the advantage of enum. You can see. Because it's back end sweet though, I don't know. So that's where enum comes into play. So how can we track it and make sure say that manipulation no work for this case? So what we'll just do here now, inside our, let me just cancel this here. So inside this our migration file, inside this our tax stuff, instead of we just setting this piece as a string of this status, we just set it as a string, which means you can take anything. not so much as that in a string. Yes, no, random Alex, you can take anything and store it there. So let's enforce it to take specific things. So yeah, that's the mindset now. So we're going to enforce it to take only specific thing that we want it to take. Any other way pass wetin we don't give am, make you not accept am. Na wetin e mean. So I will just come here and modify here. Instead of writing string, I will come here and write enum. So initially I intentionally write string because remember we're just doing tutorial, I'm just explaining stuff. So when I was writing this thing, I was aware that this is not correct. But just for you to understand your setup and not to be adding extra bonuses and all of that. So that's how me I teach. So sometimes I go even intentionally make mistake too, so I go see that mistake, so I go understand where that mistake they come from, wetin the mistake mean or wetin the issue they come from. So that's also how to learn. No be everything about perfect and smooth videos. Come as if say no error issue. So if you can't encounter error now, you can't meet me say I don't know how to solve this error. No go tell me that one again. Make you know say we dey handle the error live together here. So that is what this. So this that is where that's where this enum come into play. So the enum is just a simple basic thing. So first of all, we can see as I hover, yeah, see wetin this stuff tell me. So it takes the column of the name wey dey name am for the database column, status, which is still good. Then the next one is taking an array. So right now it's showing red underline error because it's not complete. It's only accepting two arguments. I only put one. So one found one. Well, when you see things that you're gonna say you only put one, say thing that accepts two things. So that means I have to come here and put comma. And then second one wey dey accept na array it accepts. So comma array. So those array, what are those things I want to be saving? So I want only pending, in progress, and done. Any other thing outside this three thing, e go reject them. That's the thing. E go reject them. No matter manipulation they want to do from that front end side, e go reject am. The database no go accept them because you don't enforce am say na only these three things e dey accept. So we can do the same thing for this is active. I think for this is that we have enabled and disabled too. So we have enabled and disabled. I'll just enable. I mean, what am I saying? Enum. So comma enable disable. So that's the only stuff it is enforcing. So I will need to refresh. For me, as I don't make this change, I need to refresh the database entirely. So I go fit run this setup. Before I refresh that database entirely, let's look at something. Let's look at something. If I go to tags, I'll click on structure. Now let's look at status here. Look at status varchar. Remember as usual we saved it as a string, right? So varchar, this one too, varchar, which means it can accept any random stuff. Now let's run PHP artisan migrate fresh. So refresh all the database and set everything up afresh again. Let me reload this page. Well, what are you seeing here? Enum. Enum. So you don't know, say, okay, this one now, you don't put another new type called enum, which is enforcing something. So that's the difference now. So it will only accept these two or these three things that we gave it to accept. Any other thing, it won't accept it. So that's the one advantage of this enum stuff. Let's test this. Let's see if it's going to reject something. Let me go to this factories. In this our factories, here we set up pending, in progress. Let's intentionally put rubbish there. So instead of this done, let me add extra e here in this done, which is an error already. So let me see this database and see if it's going to work. PHP artisan migrate. No, PHP artisan database seed. Let's see if there will be any error. Bam, error don't drop. You can see now Warning, data truncated for column status at row 1. That means in that first, when you're trying to see that factory, one of them were triggering this done, but this done is not in the database, so you reject them. Now, why that error happen? So you can see that what we're actually doing is really making sense, and yes, it's really working. So that's how it's rejected it. So let's put the appropriate things. Now these are the appropriate things. If we run that same CDA command, everything will go smoothly without any error. You can say PAM, everything don't go smoothly, no issue. So if I refresh here, let's go to our index page, you see the information. Bam. So this is how the information straight up. So that's just it basically. Um, although, yeah, talking about this enabled, disabled, on the norms in the real sense, we are not even supposed to do it in this way. Just that I'm just the one trying to teach you how to use radio button in your form. If you want to do something like enabled, disabled, to know if something is active or not active and all of that, there's a better approach. We just use on and off, something like on and off kind of thing, than clicking on enabled and clicking on disabled. But by just like as this blue dey here now, we assume say na on. If I click the blue, it will disappear to empty stuff. So that's kind of like the best approach. But in that case, instead of us using enum, we won't be using enum in this case. Rather, what we'll be using is bool, like boolean, true or false, one or zero, that kind of stuff. But let's stop like this for today. I think we've already have too much information already. So, are you still enjoying the Laravel? Uh, now they anticipate project before you go dey fear project now. Make I do. That's good. Yeah, yeah, fact.